So, Blumhouse is back again with a remake of a Danish film from 2022. This is typically a recipe for disaster, so let's see what I thought about this odd decision.
Speak no evil.
I have to admit, I was not aware of the original film until probably like a month ago. I still haven't seen it, but I'm definitely intrigued, and I do, plan on ordering myself a copy, sometime in the near future. I'll probably review that. So yeah, this obviously won't be any kind of comparison between the two films, but from what I'm told, it's maybe kind of a more tame version of the original. Between that and the fact that Blumhouse has been pretty much showing this trailer literally everywhere, I initially really did not want to see this. It was directed by James Watkins, who I was vaguely aware of. He directed an episode of Black Mirror back in 2016. I know everyone seemed to like that show. And I liked The Woman in Black from 2012 that he did for Hammer Films. He's clearly a good director, and he does a great job here. He also did the writing, obviously, using the template of the original film while putting his own spin on the story. And we've got a small but good cast here, basically. The two small families as the main characters. One played by Scoot McNairy, Mackenzie Davis, and Alex West Lettler as their daughter Agnes. The other played by James McAvoy, Aisling Franciosi, I always have trouble saying her name, and their son Ant, played by Dan Huff. There are a few other, very minor characters, but not really important. So if you've seen the trailer, which you probably have, like 8,000 times, you know exactly what to expect. I hate to say it. Which is kind of infuriating because it shows way too goddamn much, which, again, you already knew this because you've seen the trailer a zillion times. The opening scene is pretty ominous and effective. I liked it. Especially knowing where it leads. It shows Patty and Ciara, played by James McAvoy and Aisling Franciosi, just simply walking up to a house at night. It's only a few seconds, really. Like I said, simple, effective, and a great way to start things off. And then you meet the Dalton family. They're an American family living now in London, and they are on vacation in Italy. The Daltons are a tight-knit, loving family. But they've had some struggles, for sure, leading to some marital issues. But they are, from what I can see, just doing their best. I've always kind of liked Scoot McNairy, or at least since I first saw Monsters from 2010. I saw that for the first time a couple years back, and I've always liked it. He kind of reminded me of like a young David Duchovny. And I wasn't very familiar at all with Mackenzie Davis, but I thought she was really, really great here. She has a very expressive face, and I actually prefer her performance overall to Scoot's. So in Italy, they end up meeting Patty, Ciara, and Ant, a seemingly happy family with a lot of energy, and also live in England. Ben is kind of a reserved, soft-spoken guy, and he seems to be drawn to Patty's, brash and much more masculine type personality. After hitting it off over dinner, the Dalton family are casually invited to visit Patty and Ciara's farm in the English countryside. Over a lovely dinner with some wine, of course. This sounds like a fun idea, but once they are back home in London, it's a little different. But after giving it some thought, they decide to go. Now, I know that this decision comes with a fair amount of criticism. Personally, though, I don't think it's really that far of a stretch. The Dalton family are still fairly new to London, and they don't have a lot of friends. And like I said, Ben he kind of looks up to Patty. I think that in a way, Patty is actually the type of dude that Ben wishes he was, Ben and Louise even point out how it's very risky, spending an entire weekend with people that they barely know. And Patty and Ciara even point out that their son Ant misses Agnes, who suffers from severe anxiety. So again, I've seen the criticism regarding these decisions, but I just don't think it's as big of a stretch as people say that it is. So the Dalton family drives out to the English countryside to visit their new friends. And not long after they get there, things kind of slowly get strange. Patty and Ciara make kind of, passive-aggressive comments, and they seem to be very, very hard on their son Ant. Ciara also seems to develop like a quick attachment to Agnes. Ben seems to be a bit blind to a lot of this, but Luis does not care at all for this family. Now, if you've seen the trailer a million times like I have, and I know that you have as well, because there seemed to be just no escaping it. You know where this is going, and I almost, to be honest, I almost skipped this movie because of that, which I'm sure a lot of you have. Surprisingly, though, I gotta say I really enjoyed this. So much more than I expected, to be honest. It had literally everything against it, at least up in my head, and in my opinion, it came out on top. The performances were all surprisingly solid, and even both of the kids, which surprised me quite a bit, because you never really know what you're getting with kid actors. But I double thumbs up on those kids. Scoot McNairy and Aisling Franciosi were good, but in my opinion, their performances here were far from their best. And I'm not saying that they could have given better performances. I think it's just the way the characters were written. And I gotta say, I first became aware of Aisling Franciosi just earlier this year, actually, when I saw Stop Motion, which was one of my favorite movies of the year so far. Loved it, and I thought she was absolutely fantastic in that. So I know what she can bring to the table, and I'm definitely still going to keep an eye on her, because I think she's got a lot of gas left in the tank. I think she's got some great performances that we will see from her in the future. And I actually thought Mackenzie Davis was better here, and I see some definite potential in her. Like I said, I wasn't really that familiar, but I thought she was really, really good. But James McAvoy is the scene stealer, though. I don't think there's any arguments against that from anybody. Love or hate his performance here, I guarantee you will be paying attention to him. I mean, we've all seen his versatility in the past, so it's no surprise that he was cast in this film and in this role, and he chews the scenery here like no other. For the first almost half of the runtime, he's so funny and almost even likable, which almost makes it hard to not like him. He's charming, definitely overbearing, but also hilarious, and Ben kind of falls for all of it. So yeah, I liked this. It wasn't my typical cup of tea, but the pacing was decent, and it was tense enough to keep my attention the whole time. I liked the third act probably the most, but I was never bored or second-guessing my decision to go out and watch this. So I'm giving Speak No Evil a 7 out of 10. And I'd recommend it to anyone into thrillers and fans of James McAvoy. Cheers, guys.